Are we ready? I know I am. So, whether or not you are, it's time for another episode of the Indie Tales Game Dev live stream. Hey, my name is Adam. You are the Pixel Pals. I've already said the name of the show, so without further ado, it's time to go. Welcome everyone to the Monday edition of the stream. We're starting a little bit late today because I've just had a bit of a slow start to my day. I was late last night working on a new video to the YouTube channel. And hey, for those of you who happen to be watching on Twitch, or maybe you're watching on YouTube, you don't need this announcement, but I'm streaming back on YouTube today. I'm going to try it. I'm trying a few things here. Particularly, I'm trying streaming both simultaneously from one OBS setup. So I actually don't know how the stream is going right now. I think I'm live. I am live. There are people watching. Hello. If you're in chat, let me know. It's like a little bit. We're just setting up, so like I don't know how well things are running. YouTube is good. Hey, Calico. Hello, hello. So right now. And this is maybe something that, like, maybe in the future we can do something smart here. I'm figuring this out. So the Twitch terms of service prohibit me from streaming Twitch and YouTube in the same video feed. I can't show both chats, but I might be able to show the YouTube chat in the YouTube feed and the Twitch chat in the Twitch feed. So maybe that's something that we could do to kind of like at least have everyone's experience feel native on their own thing. But that's something that I have to explore. It will require more video encoding because it's now 2 streams if there's a different thing here. Or, you know, we could just hide the chat if it's like too complicated. We are not allowed. Will that help me? I mean, you could do what you like. Hey, Saravati, welcome. Thanks so much for the sub. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. Like, I want everybody who's interested in watching the stream to be able to watch it. I want them to have a good experience. So that's just something that I'm going to try and balance. It's always a difficult thing to do. And there's a few things that we're going to try to do today to validate some of the pain points that I had last time I tried streaming on YouTube. That was last January, so it's been a whole year. Things like running ads, that was something that we couldn't do in the previous version, so it was a little hard. But yeah, I'm here. Welcome. I want to say a big welcome to everybody who's here in chat, and a big thank you to the most recent follower, Atro Khan, and most recent subscriber, Saravati. Welcome. How best should we tackle this today? Subway Surfers. That's it. Hey, Digis. How's it going? Hopefully things go well with the YouTube stream. Yeah, I'm gonna try some stuff. Okay, so if let me know if this stuff works. First thing we're gonna do is, this is kind of like a test stream, so I'm not gonna be running ads quite so frequently as this, but let me know if this runs an ad on YouTube, my YouTube pals. I'm gonna press the button. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Now let me know if this runs an ad, Twitch viewers. 3, 2, 1. Pressing the button. The buttons were both pressed. If anybody got an ad on any platform, that's a good start. Okay, we got an ad on Twitch. Wow, we got the ad on YouTube. Wow, it happened. We did it. That's the first time that's ever happened. Lydia says that an ad ran. So that's really good. Because last time we actually couldn't monetize the streams at all. It was really not worth the time and effort because we couldn't monetize them. So yeah. All right. Well, I think what happens. I have a theory about what was going wrong last time, which maybe is true. But I was using Restream to run the dual streaming, and I think the stream key that Restream was using, maybe because I was pressing the button here, but the Restream's the one handling the stream itself. Maybe like that signal wasn't going through for whatever API reasons. But since I'm running the stream and it's coming from inside the house, maybe that's why it's working now. I don't know. Assuming it worked at all. It sounded like people didn't. Only one person said they saw one. So if everyone else has got premium, that's great. Yeah, I'm happy to we'll roll with it for now. Maybe in like an hour or so, I'll press the button again and see what happens. So yeah, okay. I just want to make sure, like, okay, looks like things are moving. We got people watching. I guess we can start the stream, huh? Cool. Alrighty. So, I guess it's probably worth doing like a complete welcome to Insignia thing for those of you on YouTube, because it's been a hot minute since I streamed on YouTube. I will flag that right now, because there's a lot of data being streamed at the moment. My computer it's quite old, and we have a new computer coming this week. So if we have some like streaming performance woes, hopefully by the end of the week that will be resolved. This is my first time doing this, so I got no idea what's gonna happen. Hey, Lost God, thank you so much for the follow. Ambidextrous equivalent of capitalism. Something like that. Okie dokie. Thank you for the likes, everybody on YouTube. Thank you so much. So, alright. Shall we just do like a quick round trip of Insignia while the project opens up? I'm happy to explain everything that's going on with me in the new year and what's going on with the game and everything like that. So let's jump into it. Alrighty, so Insignia, hey, this is my game. So I started working on this game in 2017. It was a solo project at the time, and it began as just like a little dare on myself to see if I could push myself to get into game dev as like more than just a little hobby. I had been doing game jams before that, and I started it in kind of like toying with the project as early as like 2014, but I didn't have an engine to write it in or anything. I just drew characters and stuff. So it's kind of been like my little fictional world that I've been building for years now. But yeah, I was I really wanted to build something properly and like jump into full-time game dev. So I started doing that in 2017 with a plan to take the game to PAX at the end of that year in October here in Australia. And I was successful in doing that. The game was pretty like decently well received at the convention, but by today's standards, super duper rough. There was just so much that wasn't polished because I didn't really know what I was doing. And I also I was rushing, this is one person, and it was such an ambitious kind of thing to try to do in that time. But since then, obviously the YouTube channel I started that in 2019, the Twitch stream in 2018. Things gathered momentum. I got better at this stuff. I started sharing what I was doing with people here on the internet, and they seemed to like what I was doing and liked how I explained myself. So here we are, a few short years later, one pandemic, one wedding, moving house, moving country, moving back home later. So yeah, this is where we're at now. And the game has, in the last 6 months, received grant funding. What that means is it was 130,000 Australian dollars worth of funding to bring on a team, as per a pitch that I gave, an application that I made, to basically get the game's kind of demo, first chapter vertical slice into a like release level polish, so that I can then take that and run with it to a publisher or Kickstarter and actually like turn it into a big, get some funding for the next round, or hopefully towards release, in a couple of years. So we're not talking about like release dates yet. We're not talking about anything like that. However, we are at the turning of the tide in terms of like starting to talk about the marketing campaign for the game. So the actual game's mechanics, how it plays, that kind of stuff's getting into a strong and consistent enough shape after this many years that I know what I'm making. I know what it needs to be. I'm able to pitch that. I just want to showcase like what it is and start those wheels turning. We're talking about teaser trailers, we're talking about Steam page, wish listing, that kind of stuff. That's like within the next month, basically. And that's the case because I'm actually heading over to GDC in March. So if you're in the US and you're going to GDC, you may see me there. I'm not going with the game. I'm just going by myself. Like I don't have like a presence there, but obviously the game will be with me, as it always is, because it lives up here. So anyway, what we're looking at here is basically my little project document. So this is my like equivalent of a GDD. It's a really big document, lots of pages, and this is where I just keep all of my brain headspace on what the game is, what I'm doing with it. And I've got other documents here for things like our team schedule, when people are available, what hours of the day, our timeline, where we're headed, that kind of stuff. And I've actually got that on different levels too. I've got like a strategic timeline, where we're heading with that and stuff like that. So I want to say a big thank you to Only a Developer for the subscription. Thank you so much. And so for those of you who just watch my tutorials and you're just wondering like, who is Adam C. Yunus? What is Adam's game? What does he do when he's not making little tutorials about how to do pixel art? So Insignia is a side-scrolling action adventure. It's a pixel art game. You've probably seen it on my tutorials here and there because I make a point of showcasing it there. But it's basically a hero's journey story. It's a story of a character named Armin. It's a fantasy game. He lives in this like colonial era kind of fantasy world that's based on like Western Europe. And he is a blacksmith. The game, it features action mechanics, platforming. So there's combat. The combat system like kind of meshes with the platforming system. It kind of started as something a little bit like Dark Souls and has grown because it's a side-scrolling game. The way that you navigate through a side-scrolling game is with platforming. And as the game has grown, platforming has become a much bigger part of the game. So it went from something like Dark Souls into something much more like kind of Smash Brothers or Kingdom Hearts. So you're kind of weaving combat into platforming and making your way through the game world that way. I really want the game to feel kind of like it's got flow to it, and like everything that you do has kind of consequences, and that the game feels almost like puzzle solving, like traversing through the game, defeating enemies. All of that feels like it's got intent behind it, and that there's a right way to do things. So it's got this kind of like action puzzle platformer DNA inside of what is really something that is structurally more like Zelda. So you've got 5 or so chapters, 5 regions. And you are kind of building out this story, building out your character, Armin, as he kind of makes his way through the world, and you're unlocking new abilities. And that's kind of what the game is. There's a plot, there's a story, you're uncovering that story, and the plot is kind of like Armin is an apprentice blacksmith who is following in the footsteps of his father. His father was a bit of a celebrity blacksmith. He kind of went missing in the last 6 months to a year before the events of the game begin, and you are kind of forced by a fate. Something happens that pushes Armin into the world, and everything's good still. Yep. And he is basically tasked with traversing out, discovering the secrets of blacksmithing, learning the fate of his lost father, and kind of desperately trying to thwart an attempt to overtake the throne in the kingdom in which he lives. Okay, so I've talked to you about what the game is. I've told you kind of where I started with it, where it is right now, and what we're heading towards. Now I guess it's kind of just time to talk about what I'm doing day to day. What about German? I'll get to that in a bit, but not right now. We'll get on the accents in a little bit. That's kind of a feature of the stream on Twitch for those of you on YouTube who may not understand why I would be about to talk in a German accent. Okay, so right now I'm essentially the game's director. We've got a team, right? And I don't get to do everything myself anymore because it would be impractical to keep doing that. So what I do is lead development. I do kind of concepts and the roughs of basically everything. So at this point, I have already done most of the animation that you see in the chapter, but not at a level of polish that's complete. So our animators do a lot of polish on the animation just because there's so much volume. One of our animators is also doing level design. He's doing sort of auxiliary levels, parts that aren't necessarily part of the main plot but are explorable areas. We've got a sound effect artist. We've got a composer. We also have a cinematic sort of contract that's happening on the side, and we also have sort of not part of the Insignia team, but one of our Twitch chatters is also helping me implement tools for the game, or at least one tool called Scene Graph that we're going halves in once it's on the Unity Asset Store. So what I do every day here on stream is I literally just jump straight into my schedule and I load it up with tasks and I work through the tasks while chatting about games and that kind of stuff. So Just Houston asks, how many people are there in your team? There are 6 of us in the main team right now. Did you get a publisher? I didn't get a publisher. We got grant funding, which is kind of helping us work as if we had a publisher until our next milestone. What's your PM tool here? So I'm actually using, because I'm a UX designer, I'm using a UI tool called Figma. It's really just, it's not built to do tasks, but you can see because it's just components, you can build your own little Trello and your own little calendar. In fact, all of my stuff, all of this was built in Figma. It doesn't have any interactive functionality. They're just images that you can drag on top of each other and stuff. So they're just components, but that's kind of enough to do a lot of this stuff. So for me, I'll just grab some of these components and I'll drag stuff in. That's how I work. All right, so these are actually donezo and I can delete them for now. What are we working on today? Oh, I already did this. That's good. Go me. And we really have to work on a pitch today. Pitch deck. Oh, that's perfect. That's exactly the time that it is where I live locally. This was here since Friday, and it's actually come full circle. It's now 2:40 p.m. and we're supposed to work on the pitch deck. So, hey, my time zone, I live in Australia. I'm in Sydney. So it's GMT plus 10, I think. What's the game with the best pixel art animation? Says Dev Donut. For me, it's Street Fighter 3 Third Strike. I think Third Strike's pretty close. It's up there. It's easy to say. It's easy to say Metal Slug, but there are a few different games. On YouTube, Workshop Telescope says, loved the stream last week reflecting on recent dramatics and the carryover onto your own work. Yeah, look, what can I say? Like, I'm not the kind of guy who is like completely able to insulate things that are happening around me from my own mental state. Like, I don't know if it's like an empathy thing or just a survival thing or whatever, but like when I see people and situations that like are very close to me and my work, the first thing I think is like, how does this apply to me? Like, what do I need to do? Am I doing the right things? Like, how do I navigate this ship that I'm on to kind of make sure that I stay the course and that I don't do things wrong, you know? Insignia is like, it's my whole thing. So like building the community around the game, making sure that I keep my viewers happy, whether they watch my tutorials or they're interested in the game or they like watching me work on stream, on Twitch, like all of that stuff it's really, really important that I'm doing that right. So, you know, I don't want to waste these opportunities that I have. And yeah, that's basically how it is. Like I care a lot about doing the right thing, and I feel like I only really have like one chance. So it's just important to me. Yeah, it's just important. And when, yeah, like I said, like when I see people doing similar things to me and they aren't, like when I see what failure looks like, or like a path that's different to mine that is adjacent or something like that, and I think, should I be on that path? Should I be doing that? If I did do that, would I make the same mistakes this person's making or whatever? And that doesn't, like, I do this with lots of different creators. It's not just one. So, you know, when you have something that's so precious to you that you can't afford to see it fail, I think it's natural to be vigilant. You know, that's just how I am. Daniel Chinchilla on YouTube says, you probably already got this comment, but your style reminds me a little bit of Owlboy. There's a reason for that. It's a big inspiration, actually. Owlboy and Iconoclasts. Insignia references? Art reference. Yeah. This document, it's not like where I started with Insignia, but at one point I sort of decided that I would collate the games that influenced my artistic style for the game. And yeah, for sure, like Owlboy's in there. Is it in here? There it is. Yeah, it's a great game. I think it's something to do with the painterly style of pixel art, and the size of the characters, the size of the screen, that kind of stuff. I think it's, yeah, for sure. I like Chasm as well. It's a great art style. And Iconoclasts, really good game. Frogado and Friends was a game that I actually started building Insignia in at one point. This game, if you buy it, you get the engine. Like, the game is built in the engine, and the engine is bundled with the game, as like, you literally mod Frogado to make a different game. That's like how they explain it. And I started doing that for a couple of weeks, but as you can imagine, there's like literally no support for that. This was in like 2015. So I like got the character running around and stuff, but it wasn't worth it. What else? I mean, Blasphemous, of course. Yeah, lots of games. Actually, another one that doesn't feature here is Final Fantasy Tactics Advance is like a huge inspiration for me. Hey, Synth Athena. Started game dev about a month ago and Insignia alongside your tutorials have been an inspiration and instrumental component to my success, to my progress. That's kind of like success, respectively. Just wanted to thank you for your work. Keep going. Thank you so much. All right. So actually today, like, you know, I'm working on the game, but it's not my, like... Oh, what's going on here? Hang on. You okay, buddy? Oh, shoot. Okay, I've made an error. Oh, I was like literally in the middle of something. Oh, my computer crashed earlier today. I was like literally writing a new line of code and like a new function, and the computer crashed. I turned it off, turned it on, forgot I was doing this. So I'm actually just going to comment this out because it's not even a stub. It's not even it doesn't do anything right now. So let's recompile. Oh, we can do it now. Oh, you know what, Houston? Let's refund it. I feel bad. I'll refund it. Sorry you had to go. I appreciate it. I'll refund that. You're working with the GBA? Oh, for real? Like you're making like a homebrew GBA game? That's cool. Alrighty, this should work now. Hello? I feel like I'm dropping the stream on YouTube just a little bit. I'm sorry if that happens. I'm kind of like testing out double streaming today. Double streaming. And I don't have this all fully figured out just yet. Also, there's something that I feel like I really have to do here. It's my first YouTube stream in about a year, so... Oh, it's not dropping? Oh, that's good. I feel like I should drag this over to like here. Maybe even scale it up a little bit and put it like here. Like that. I feel like that's a better crop of what's happening, because you don't get the... Hang on, I'll do it a bit more. It does make my face very big, but I didn't like that you could see the pink edge of the room next to me. All right, let's go back over here. Cool. Compile times are back. Oh yeah, don't worry about that. Yeah, so we're working on the game. And you can see, like, I put so much time into things like the dialogue system, into cutscenes, into that kind of stuff. And this is kind of where the mechanics are at. So lots of... Oh, that's interesting. Whoop. Whoop. Ooh, I'm getting a bit of... Hang on a second. One sec. I'm getting a bit of something here. It's a lot of slowdown. I wonder if 2 streams was too ambitious. Oof. Okay, cool. Hey, Nick Diaz. Alright, so I want to grab this. And I want to come over here. And I want to go up here. Over here. Up here. Then I want to swap powers. Come over here, jump up here. And then we're going to do this, this, this. Chaboa says, are you using assembly references? I'm not using assembly definitions. No, I started without using them. And now that I haven't been using them, it's kind of like almost too late. Maybe one day we'll do it. Thanks, Neek. Thank you so much. Sunbal Jin says, hi Adam, is there any chance we could work for you for free? I don't know. Honestly, it's a little, right now, it's a little difficult to delegate work. That's a huge portion of my time. So it's hard for me to justify putting time into kind of managing an intern if the content wasn't going to directly go into the game. We'd have to see kind of where your art was at. I also feel like if I was going to have somebody work on the game, I would want to pay them just because it feels a little exploitative. Like where does that line, where do you draw that line? You know, it's a little complicated. I'm not saying no, but like we'd have to think about it. All right. So actually today, like working on a pitch deck was really my priority. So let's see if I can pull something out here. One sec. I do have a document. Shadows of Doubt. Nope, I don't know it. So this is kind of like where I'm starting. I do have an older pitch deck that I'd like to just sort of get the presentation up the presentation of it. Yeah, I think we're a lot closer now. Even in like this, like having some key art and a logo that look decent, you know, like that look like it's an indie game rather than, you know, just some pixel art or something. Do I have a Discord channel? Of course, yeah. Jose, if you look in the description, you'll see the Discord link. Is Figma free? It is free to use, but it's limited. Hey Fernanda, what's a pitch deck? Oh, that's a good question. Okay, 1 second. Pitch deck. Hey, check this out. Ready? 3, 2, 1, go. So what is a publisher pitch deck? Basically, when you are working on a game, at some point you're going to have to share that game with people who are in a position to either fund it or help you market it, or maybe if you're really early, maybe it's for team members or investors. You need to be able to communicate what your game is. And a pitch deck is a slideshow, like a PowerPoint presentation that contains really like key information about your project. And typically if you're presenting it for someone who can help you fund the game, you're usually having what's called an ask in there. So this is the game, this is who I am, this is what we're doing, this is our strategy and our plan, and we would like your help in this way. So it's a really short but sweet way of basically selling what you're doing as a project and as a team, as a business, to someone in a position to help you out. Basically, that's a pitch deck. Now, we've been doing kind of research on pitch stuff in the past, and like I said, I'd put together this one here. If you're interested, how I got here was I started by comparing a bunch of well, this is like website stuff, but earlier on in my first pitch deck put together, I went through a few different, what's the word? Not tutorials, but guides and other pitches from other games, and tried to find what was common between them, and what I thought worked and made the most sense. I think Rami Ismail from Vlambia has a really good guide on how to put together a pitch deck, and he has this kind of structure where he builds a sentence out of the deck. So it's like, who, like we, saw which opportunity to make what? How can you benefit? What do we need? It's almost like a sentence. So I expanded that out into like a more casual sentence, which is, we saw an opportunity to make a cool thing, like these other cool things, but different. We're already on the path, and with your help, we can make it happen. That's kind of like what it is. You don't have to say like these other cool things, but like this, or even like, which is special because. A bit more about the project. So what is Insignia? It's a game, it's an action adventure. These are the major things that you do in the game. This is the core mechanic. This is the game loop. And there are 5 of these chapters, 5 of these loops to make the whole game. And then talking about the market. So, hey Blood Red, thank you so much for the sub. Hey, Iflexis AMVs, I use Unity. So this is kind of like, I did this comparative analysis last year where I did a bunch of research on a whole bunch of other indie games. So research, I basically like scraped with APIs, like 50 games, might have been 50, yeah, over 50 games on Steam, and using a bunch of like other databases and their analytics and projections to figure out like revenue for these games. And then these are all just filtered for specifically like pixel art kind of action adventure-y style games. Could be RPGs, could be roguelikes. It's sort of in that ballpark. Not always side-scrolling, some are top-down, but the point is I did this research and I pulled together some charts and analytics and did my own little understanding just to show really that I was thinking about these things. And I did some strategic positioning, like what is Insignia trying to be relative to these other games. So it's not a roguelike, You know, it's not really a Metroidvania. It's kind of closer into this kind of like platformer RPG space with Metroidvania elements. And, you know, here are examples of games that do well in this space. This is what I'm trying to do specifically, and the few games that do that right. And then kind of how am I going to achieve that, right? How am I going to achieve the thing that's difficult about what I'm doing that makes it unique, that these other games did? This is my timeline, this is how much money we need, blah, blah, blah. So it's actually not a bad pitch. It's not really suitable for a publisher just yet. It needs to be a little tighter. I probably would remove some of this stuff in favor of basically streamlining the research piece, because it's less about, like, they will understand this stuff. I don't really have to demonstrate to them that I understand it, because that's kind of their job. But I still need to know what makes the game special. So, like, this should probably be 3 slides rather than 4. This should probably be 2 slides instead of 4. And then more about the money and how we're going to use it, I think, is more important here for this specific pitch deck. So I'm trying to use, like, the assets that I put together for the key art in the deck, just because, like, why not? Which I think is, you know, could go well depending on how I do it. I hope I can get it right. Give us a bit more saturation. Maybe we give it a little bit of a layer blur. It's kind of hot. I'm kind of into that, actually. It might make the file quite large to have it blurred, though. That's the only thing I'd be conscious about, is that the pitch deck might be a large file with a background that's blurred like this. But, yeah, you know, it is what it is. Let's push this out of the way of the content just a little bit. Something like that. Even as like a draft, I think that's pretty cool. So, if I'm in Figma, put me on the deck, pressure release, release pressure agent, not pressure release. Figma is like Canva? Kind of, yeah. It's a bit more heavy duty than Canva. Abdullah says, hi, do you think it's a good idea to go with a publisher? All right, I think it's a really good idea to hear what opportunities, to explore what opportunities you have from publishers. I don't think you should treat publishing like a flick, like a switch, you know, like yes, no. I think it's like, you have a game, you have opportunities, explore those opportunities in whatever way makes sense. If publishers are interested in your game, it might be worthwhile, depending on what kind of deals that you can get from them. If crowdfunding is an option, then that might be worthwhile too. You have to know what your opportunities are and what you're capable of, like, doing with those opportunities as well. So it's not right for everybody. Suppose there's a company interested in financing the game. How should they contact me about possibly participating in the project? I mean, you can reach out to me at adam@uponhill.com. Like that. You can just send me an email and we can talk about it for sure. Kyle Johnson says, Pirate Software basically says that if you clearly see that a publisher will net you more money, then it may be worth it. If you don't know, then it's not worth it. Yeah, I think it's really important. This is something that I'm personally struggling with as a developer, the promise of a publisher is really enticing. The idea that like someone's going to come and bankroll your project and it's going to be a big success because of their input. That feels really, really good, because it's the idea that your risk has been mitigated now. You no longer have to worry about will you get the game out, because it's going to come out and someone's there cheering it on and they're going to make sure it's played by a lot of people. That's what we all want, because it's like high school, it's like university, you know, having a teacher or a professor sign off on your work and say, HD, great job, 10 out of 10. It's nice to have that validation. However, it's really a publisher's responsibility. It's their job to audition to you, the developer, that they're actually going to be able to provide that value. You don't know. Just because someone's a publisher doesn't mean they're going to do anything for you. So, like anything, the hard and unfortunate answer is that you have to take these things as they come, one at a time, and assess what makes sense for you. You can't, there's no blanket rule. Yeah. So I think Thor is right in that assessment. Any chance you could show us the main character and how the attached scripts in Armen works in your game that you're using? Unfortunately, Fun TV, it's a really, really big file. Well, it's a big setup. It's not one big file. It's a lot of files. I wish I could show you in a way that was like, you know, gave you a nice big overview and just was like, yep, here it is. That's the script. But you have to understand, like, Armen is so many things in this game. Armen is an animation. It's a sprite that has an animator, right? So it's got to be something that can be puppeteered in cutscenes to do to do certain things, right? He can move around, he can say hi, whatever. It's also a platform character, so it's, you know, running and jumping. It's also got combat. It's also something that other things in the game look to understand where the player is and what they're doing. So basically it's set up like this, right? Lots of components. This is like the top of the tree. I have the rigid body. I have the animator. I have the main, this is the script, Armen behavior. So it's doing the top level of the state tree is just this script. It handles, it receives all of the modules. So the input module talks to that. The physics module talks to that. Everything gets thrown in there. Then we've got all those modules. So this is health, this is input, this is the sprite animator. This determines whether the player is on the ground or on the wall. This is for the shader. This affects stat effects, which I don't really use in the game right now, but it's like stuff like poison. This helps the game control Armen when the player can't control Armen, so like making him run around before a cutscene or something. This is a state just for handling a specific thing in the game, which I probably shouldn't have here. This is another state, again, for eating food in the game. This lets you see enemies, and for other reasons we've got target awareness too. So that's just like his senses, the things that he can use to perceive the world. Then I've got all of these scripts. See all of this? This is all the behavior states. So this is the stuff that the character can do in the game. Abilities, actions, like all of these things basically are, because the game's an action game, abilities aren't just like an animation and like some damage values. An ability can be all kinds of things. Abilities, like if you look, for example, this ability I just got. Hang on a second. Let's get out of here so the game will run properly. This does that, right? While we're in this state, we've got particle effects, we've got shader stuff happening, we've got gravity being turned off, we've got an animation playing, but the animation could be doesn't have to be one animation. It could be 4 animations playing back to back, depending on what the role of the state is. So a better example would be, where have I got my vines? Yeah, like over here. I don't want to show you that level because that's not going to work. Yeah. So like, hang on, you're gonna watch a cutscene now. Okay, so like this, for example, this ability is like 3 different sets of states, right? The first state is like you're in the air and you've used the ability and it'll do a backflip. If you're on a wall when you use the ability, he'll start riding up the wall. If you press jump while riding on the wall, he'll do the backflip. And if he runs out of space while riding up the wall, he'll grab onto the ledge. So there's like a behavior tree, like a flowchart that governs one ability in the game. And there are like 16 abilities in the game. And that's all separate from like just running around and jumping and grabbing ledges and looking down and sprinting and that kind of stuff. And those are all their own scripts. So it's really big. It's a really big question that you're asking, and not one that I can, like, if I just go to almond behavior, the top level script, like it's still like 12, it's like 1,000 lines long. And this is like it's like 5% of what the character can do. So it is what it is. You make a big game. This script could be smaller, but at a certain point, I've already pulled out like those like 30 modules from the character. So that would have been like, if it's 1,000 lines of code, it could have been like, I don't know, 12,000 total that are in other places doing other things. So, and that's not because like it's too verbose. It's just like the game is a big game and the character can do a lot of stuff. And I've chosen to make a game that's really complicated. Is the whole story done? The whole story is written, but not implemented. So we're working on, this is Scene Graph. This is a tool that I built with Elzac in chat. And what this does is it lets me see all of my game's levels in like a big world map. So we're working right now on just this for the demo, just this section here. But I've also, pardon me, I've also got like, double that elsewhere. And this is chapter 3, and chapter 4 is over here, and chapter 5 goes back over the whole world. Final Fantasy VII Disc 3 style. So, like, by end of February, we'll have done this. And then once I get funding again, in the next, like, 3 to 6 months after that, we'll do all of this. And then 4 months after that, we'll do all of this. And then 3 months after that, we'll finish all of it. And that's the whole project, hopefully. Fingers crossed, if we do it right. So it's like 6 months, 5 months, 4 months, 3 months for each of the chapters. And there are things that I write as we go, for sure. Like this here has changed like 4 times, but it's more like refining. It's like I know what I wrote, but like, does the player do this in one scene? Does it happen across 3 scenes? Do you learn 3 abilities all at once, or do I stagger them out across some more gameplay? Like, sometimes as you're writing it, as you're implementing it, opportunities come up that like make more sense because you start getting a better understanding of what the player experience is. So just because you wrote it some way doesn't mean that it should be that way, right? Like if it's boring because it takes too long to get from A to B, well, why not just like shorten the distance and then like fuse those 2 little story beats, for example. Okay? So, thank you, Iflexis. Thank you. So, coming back here, I want to create some templates. This is a fine template. Let's take away this, and this. No, let's keep the title there. Delete that and call this create component. This is like intro slide, intro template, intro section template. And this is just title. Okay, so I'm going to make another copy of the intro section template. I'm going to wrap that in a frame, and then I'm going to place this content in the template frame. And then I can delete this, and that's better. Now, if I change the template, that's going to change in the frame. Cool. Are you repitching to the same publisher for every milestone? No. So the way that it works in Australia, we got grant funding last year, which is through the government. It's not a publisher. It's just like there are programs that the government has in place to support the arts, and they have a certain amount of money every year that they want to give away to game developers or for the most promising projects or whatever. And that exists at the federal level and at the state level. So there's like federal government funding and state government funding. The federal government funding, once you've received it for one project, you can't receive it again for that same project. So that's been done. The state funding you can get multiple times, but it's kind of not designed for you to earn it twice with the same project, because they want to support new games, like fresh games coming up. They don't want to just spend all the money on the one project. So as far as those opportunities, they're pretty much dried up for me, unless I like move to another state and apply for funding there. But I'm not really interested in doing that. So this next pitch will be to a publisher specifically. Like that's going to be actually like, okay, like, you know, actual private company. I can help you migrate to Germany. I mean, it's possible. Okay. Nice to meet you. And then, so this is like the team. Then we've got a bit more about the game, or how should I best approach this? Good morning, Hamim. Welcome. So, I think like the studio, or like, yeah, maybe that's important, but I don't really want to go too far with it. I feel like I already have communicated stuff here. This is actually 260. That's fine. And then the game is the next part. Let's have a look at the Vlambeer thing again. 10 to 14. 15 minutes. Okay. Yeah. A scene graph? Yeah, maybe. Artistic Y, business Y. Yeah, that's fair. So this question of the artistic why versus the business why. I think like what we stand for is important. Jose says, I want to ask how the 16 by 16 and 32 by 32 works when it comes to detailed tiles. So I actually use both in my game, but I've switched from 16 to 32 recently. So all of my new tile sets are 32 pixels per tile. The difference, honestly, what it feels like is this. When you have 16 by 16, you end up having to kind of do a lot of repetitive details so that it feels like there's good flow. You can't really do a lot of incidental details because they're very obvious. When you have 32 by 32, it's a little bit easier to have them come across a little more organic. Like there's more variations, bigger chunks of unique things. I've also just gotten better at doing this stuff, so maybe it's just that, but like these rocks here, like that really feels like it's a rock. It doesn't feel like it's something, you know? It's not like hey, like here's some rocky noise, you know? The smaller you go, the harder it is to like capture individual objects inside of one tile. So, but different with side scrolling versus top down, like also different in terms of like what you want your game to look like. The level of fidelity is going to be different. So like Celeste gets away with smaller tiles because it's a more abstract game, more simple, you know, smaller overall resolution, less overall detail. Kyle Johnson says, as a solo dev, you've had full control of development. As you brought other people in, have you had difficulties in giving out some of that control? I wouldn't say giving up control has been the issue. I would say delegating has been the issue. Like communicating exactly what I want is harder. I think it's hard. I want to like make 3 things, but I don't want those 3 things to be, I want them to feel distinct, but not too like wavy, not too airy fairy. Hey, Alec Webb. You should watch the first 20 minutes of this stream, Alec. That would be a perfect intro. You had a template for tiles on your stream. I built that template, but it's not available anywhere yet. Sorry, Fun TV. Yeah. So I think commitment to craft is a big one. So for me, it's about like, let me just like annotate some of this stuff. I think it's really important to be able to write when you're writing, being able to write in a way that's like, not worrying too much about what it looks like or what the words you're saying are, but just being plain first, and then you can critique that. Hey, Arbiter Games, this is Figma. So this is about the fact that I care about what I'm making over like about the integrity of what I'm making over just trying to turn a profit. Let's say we care. We're a company now. We care about the integrity of what we're making. Great storytelling. We are committed to building experiences or games that take the player to another world, that let the inhabit a world we focus on richness in atmosphere and depth of story telling. Okay, and then gameplay. So we care about building games that invite the player to that draw a wide audience of players in. What's the word I'm looking for here? I'm trying to say like something about like easy to learn, hard to master, access, like great UX. Onboarding, masterful, like I'm trying to say specifically that the games that I make are games that I want people to be able to pick up and not understand, but once they start playing, it's easy for them to become experts at the game. You know? It's one of those things where like, you know, I want to turn players from noobs into nerds. That's what I want. It's not player expression. It's about like turning casuals into gamers, you know? I think like a good game makes you feel good at the game. It makes you want to be good at the game. No, it's not about addiction. It's literally about like, it's about pedagogy. Like, this is something that I would consider like a tentpole aspect or like focus for how I think about game design. It's about immersion. It is about immersion. All of these things kind of are one thing, I'm not sure. Hey, I've got a delivery coming. Wait a second. New microphone? Is that today? Oh, I got shipping information. It's been dispatched. Sick. Yeah, it's something like, oh, like something about investment here, like player, like these are all kind of the same. They're all three sides of the same thing, or at least this kind of it is a parent to this and this. They're like, it lives above them. But there's also something else. I mean, like, these are things that that we are building, right? And that's cool. Let me simplify this. There's something about now the company that we want to run. So like, what is my company up on hill? What are we trying to do? I really want to build I want to build a legacy. I want to have there be a through line from our first game to our most recent. This is in not just like the game themes, not just in game mechanics or themes, but also in the staff. It's culture. Staff. Sustainability is not a great word, but like trying to like really plant strong roots, inspire the market with our games. That's what I want to do. Those are things that I care about. You know, it's not just that we make fun games that are popular because other games are popular in that genre. It's like, when we make a game, yeah, we're in it for the long run. Yeah, that's cool. Cool way to say it. Like, if we make something, I want people to talk about that game 10, 15 years later being like, man, that game inspired me to do blah. Or when that game came out, it really influenced like the way that we made whatever this is. You know, I think it's so important. You know, games like Shadow of the Colossus come to mind when I think about this thing, where it's like Team Ico, and now they're called Gen Design. Every game they make is a different. It feels like a natural extension on their previous, and it feels like they're in a genre all on their own, and that there are echoes of what they make in other games. From Software would be another one. Like Dark Souls influenced the industry in such a way that like other games became Souls-like, like Souls-likes. Like God of War went from being like combo-y, very, you know, like Devil May Cry almost action game, into something more like Dark Souls. It became more about weight and impact and being strategic in how you move around, slower paced. Like the fact that one game can come out and show an entire genre that games can be a different thing, and that there are different values that you can build a game around. That's really, really cool. Like I love that, particularly when it comes to like slower gameplay. I feel like slower, more contemplative experiences are extremely rare. I think that's something that like Dark Souls helped make that become fashionable again. Yeah. I'm not sure how to describe that, but you know, it's like I want someone to think fondly of Insignia, to think about wanting to replay it just because of how much it affected them, not because it had replay value per se. Hey Zada. Okay, so that's fine as a draft for this. I think it's really important when you're working on a pitch deck to not spend too long on the specifics, because you want to be able to see it from a distance and like have a good overview of what it is you're trying to do here. So yeah, I think that like what we're about is really important there. I think we need to talk about the game itself. I think we just need to drop right into that. That's what I would do. This is the to make what? Yeah. I think it's important here to call out, just before I move on, in details. Sharing what we make with the world. Lifting developers. Lifting up developers / open. Yeah. Making development more accessible. Open door policy. I think that's really important too. Are we dropping frames, pals, or are we okay? We still good? Okay at the moment. Cool. So, Insignia, this is the real stuff. So, here we've got the dream. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Do you know what I would love? I would love to have some art that showed the game in a single frame. It might be too much, but I would love to have some key art here, which basically wrapped the game in a nutshell. Almost like a poster or something like that. But I want to... It's basically those things that I was showing before, so it's... we've got to do a lot better than that. Like classic action adventure story. That's big. Charming pixel art graphics. Innovative. Clever. Swashbuckling. I've written this down. Combat leading to acrobatic platforming, puzzle platforming. Hey Mikey, how's it going? Welcome, welcome. Just wanted to say your pixel art series really helped me improve my art. Thank you for watching. Plus you can pet the dog, of course. I'm having a tough time with a word here. My brain is like, begetting, begetting. It's like, that's not the word. I think driving is fine. Acrobatics may be too many syllables for what I want to use. Flashy. Yeah. I like this idea of when I talk about the game that it has this kind of almost like underdog kind of brand about it. Like it's plucky. I think that's important, just in the language that we use, because it does have that kind of pirate. It's like, you know, there's a fight scene in Pirates of the Caribbean where Jack Sparrow's fighting Will Turner in the blacksmith, in the smithy. And they're in the workshop and they're jumping up around on things. It's like, that's Insignia. Like that little scene is what the game feels like when you play it. That's what it should feel like anyway. You know, someone slashes at some rope and then the seesaw flips and then someone gets launched into the rafters, and you know, it's almost like you're watching stand-up comedy or something, like improv, you know. But it's impressive and it's exciting and it feels, you know, whatever. That's how the game feels when you're playing the action elements. I wonder if charming pixel art graphics is like maybe pixel art world to explore. Maybe that's the better way to describe that. Like wrap the pixel art in with the exploration of the world, and that's better. And there you can talk about, if we raise these up, then you can here talk about like ability, novel, unique ability system. Great. And then like whatever. And then you could talk about like towns, characters, you know, cutscenes or like game sequences. And then, ooh, no, I think that's this. And then this is more like, we'll call this dramatic. And then this is like the diversity of biomes to visit, like secrets to discover, enemies and mechanics, maybe like even like maybe some of the like non-linear aspects, crafting, I don't know. Ways to interact with the world. It's kind of a little hard because obviously when a game is doing this stuff right, it's doing it all together. So it's like the combat lets you platform, which lets you get to explorable areas that lead to interesting little story encounters. And that's, you know, that sits adjacent to the main plot where you have to do all of that anyway as well. But, you know, your experience is modulated by what you're more interested in. If it's more story and plot, there's lots of that to explore, but no matter what you do, you're going to run into one of those things: story, gameplay, platforming, combat. You know, you're going to exploration, you're going to be turning that wheel because it's all connected, right? You use the mechanics to play the game. But yeah, I feel like it's always important to have, like, I think 3 things is always good. Just like, if you can package it up as 3s, it's like nice. It's like, our game's about this, this, and this. with screenshots maybe, with some big key art here. Let's do maybe something like this. Boom, boom, boom. Something like that maybe. We'll make it look pretty later. We could flip this, so it could be more like 1, 2, 3, put these here, put the key art here and put these there. Let's do it this way. Okay. Okay, so boom, 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 boom. I want to see kind of like maybe Armin in an action pose doing an ability. Or maybe like, or standing at an anvil with flames around him staring off, or just hammering in. That could be cool. It'd be nice to do. I really feel like good Kickstarters will often have a few different pieces of key art of the same character doing different things, you know, or other characters in like an ensemble, like just little bits, like things like that, but a little bit more variety. Armin's looking a little bit grey here. I don't know how that happened. Okay, cool. So what's next? We've now taken this and this and merged them. And then, oh, it would be cool to talk about the gameplay. Yeah, that'd be nice. So, for gameplay. This would be great to turn into like a little scenario. I think that would be really cool. So actually, if we flip some of this stuff, if we take this first, this is almost like a little title page for what we're about to look at. So you could take this and make it 3 slides. So you could basically take this and say, whatever. So this could be like either a GIF or a diagram, I think. GIF, video, or diagram showcasing what the ensign system is and how you use it to explore the world and progress, to engage in the combat, platforming, and exploring the world. Hey, Claudia. This is Figma. Richard, thank you so much for the follow. Welcome. Yo, I'm going to take a quick break. I'll see you all back in a little bit. I'm going to go grab I have a tablet that I can use to see the chat a little bit clearer. So I'm going to bring that up here. And yeah, quick bio break. See you in a bit. We back. Sup? I'm gonna see if I can get a YouTuber. It me. I want to see if I can get my stream chat from YouTube on my iPad. Well, it's not an iPad, but, you know, a tablet. What's weird is that it doesn't like recognize, like on the Twitch app, it's like, oh, you're live right now. But on YouTube, it's like, I don't know. It's like, are you live? It has no idea. It's like, do you want to stream? I'm like, I'm streaming, buddy. I think I would need to download like YouTube Studio or something. Maybe I can. Give me a sec. Not Pilates. Studio Pilates? That's a different kind of studio. But we stay flexible on the stream. In any case, I can see you all. I can see all your chat. Pilates stream when? Dude, my flexibility, I sitting in this chair is not, it's not good for that. So I stretch a lot, but it's like not enough. Bro, this app is garbaggio. It's so bad. I can't. Okay. All right. I guess I could just go to my YouTube channel and then just see what's happening. Maybe it'll just figure itself out. Hey, that's me. Yo, I should delete that. There was a stream that I guess failed. Maybe I should remove it. Then I click this and we're good. And I can see the chat. There we go. Okay, that's good. Let's keep that there. Stalker Assassin says, hi, thanks to your guides, I was able to make a pixel game for my university diploma. I'm very grateful for you for your videos. Thank you so much. Cool, which means now I can close. Oh, is that gonna... Oh man. It's not gonna stay sleep timer. I can't make... Maybe I can. I hope the screen stays on. It's probably going to turn off because I've got the video paused, but I don't want to run the video because that's going to chew up bitrate. Anyway, let's keep working. Yeah, that's definitely going to shut off any second now on its own. Man, I could try. There's one other thing I could do. Yeah, I got this. This is I've got this like kind of crappy it is a Samsung Galaxy Tab, I believe, or Galaxy Note. I don't know what it's called anymore actually. I don't know what the names of the things are that I own. I think it's called a Galaxy something. a something. Just to make it really make sense. Can I split it horizontally? For real, I can't do that? That sucks. Okay. But I can go to create a dashboard, yeah? Stream manager. And then I should be able to go comments. Oh yeah. Oh. Please. All right. It's a travesty. Oh, cool. Now I can see everyone's comments. And that shouldn't close. Cool. Okay. If you could only see what's on my thing right now. All right. I mean, they used to be called Galaxy tabs. That might be a bit outdated now. Testing YouTube, testing Twitch. I got you, Kikoshi. All right. I'm going to move on. Hopefully that won't go away now. Okay. Hey, Octodev. Thank you. I'm glad. Just confused about one thing, Adam. I'm not sure if I missed it earlier, but I think I only saw Armin has a rigid body 2D. How come he doesn't have any colliders attached? Oh, he does. The reason why you didn't see any is because all of my colliders in my game get created at runtime. Well, a lot of them, most of them do. So Armin, yeah, is being run. His animation is being managed by something that I built called Retrobox. So like this tomato, and it manages the hitboxes and the hurtboxes and the colliders for the characters. Now, specifically, if we're just talking about a physics collider, that does get managed. Sorry, just making sure we're not dropping too much frames. There is a physics collider that is permanent on the character, but even that can be managed inside of Retrobox. So there's like a default collider, which is managed by this thing called Nav Collider. Nav. I think even that's runtime. These are colliders for checking. They're just trigger boxes. They're not colliders. But this Nav Collider, that's his actual collider, and that gets created at runtime based on this thing that every like enemy and character has called self-awareness, and that defines the box that their physics is based on. So it's a little complicated, and there are like long drawn out reasons why I do the things that I do in this game, but some of those things are not necessary for everybody. Most of them are not. Most of them are just how I build things for my game because of what I'm trying to do in my game. If you're just trying to do like a simple platformer, you don't need all this complicated setup. Figma, not Sigma. Sagma. This is Figma, Figma. Yeah. Hey, Fun TV, if you're looking to like learn how to make a 2D character controller. I have a video about that on my channel. You should check it out. If you just type in Adam C. Yunus 2D character controller, you can catch that there. All right. So, what are we doing here? We're going World and Story. Yeah, I think this is good. Major locations, characters, maybe, and then like blacksmithing, villains. Yeah, I'm trying to be like, you need to understand Fun TV. Whatever I show you on this stream is not going to allow you to understand how to build it. Some of this stuff's like a little too complicated, but like I'd have to make a separate video explaining how this works. But this is basically like a flip book animator. All it does is it takes a sprite sheet, which is a scriptable object I've created called retro sheet, which has an array of sprites and a bunch of collider information, and it just decides what frame should be playing at any one time, which is, this part's really straightforward. It's just you call the play function, and then it just resolves how much time has passed since you called play, and then has a thing called set frame, which determines like which frame we should be on based on how much time has passed and if we're looping, that kind of stuff. That's all this part really does. But this hooks into a thing called Hitbox Manager, which spawns and manages the hitboxes on those animation frames, as well as like velocity offsets, stuff like that, like root motion. So again, it doesn't look too complicated. It's like 500 lines. A lot of this is just supporting features that I've created over the years. At least like entry points for those features. But you can, if you just write flipbook animator, you know, in C# or something like that, that will show you how to make something like this. You also have to understand, I don't use the Unity animator. Like I don't have the animation state tree on my character. I don't use that thing. So when you go into like animation and then animator, this thing where you have like any state, blah, 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 I don't really use that at all. I just don't like it for Unity. So a lot of Unity games will use that for how they create the characters, but not for me. Okay. Yeah, that's cool. Cool gameplay, world and story, sounds good. What else have we got? I think what I just described covers this and this and this and this and basically almost this too. So I do want to pay a little bit of lip service towards like this idea of like the fact that Insignia is it's not about necessarily what it does. Well, maybe this is a little insecure. Maybe I shouldn't even talk about this stuff. I was gonna say like the thing that will make Insignia succeed. Yo, we back? Sorry about that, pals. I'm having some crazy internet woes today. It might be that we're trying to do too much with my little router. 2 streams at once might be too much for it. I don't know. We all still here? All still good? Cool. All right. Hi. We're still struggling. Nah, we're dropping frames. Still see and hear me. Well, that's good. 1 second. I'm gonna fix this, okay? I'm gonna fix this. Give me 1 sec. I'm gonna tether from my phone. And we'll see if we can get that going. In Australia, mobile internet is better than Wi-Fi sometimes. Let me see what I can do here. Whoop. Pardon me, pals. All right, we back now? How's that? Did we get it all back? Hello? Hopefully that's fixed it all up. I think it's all good now. Okay, good. Sorry about that. So somebody asked, why Unity and not Godot? Just curious. When I started working on Insignia, Godot was not a serious option. That's why. The project is older than Godot has been good. And I would say Godot is still... It's not possible for me to switch over to Godot at this point. Hey, Gigi, welcome. Yeah, it's not possible. So, yeah, this slide here is going to be about, like, how do we get, like, putting it all together. Maybe that's the thing. So, I had this thing. I want to review some of this logic here, just to see, like, if I still stand by it from my old pitch deck. Cool. So I expressed a pie chart with different gameplay values. Okay. Games by alignment scale. Yeah, okay. It's not very clear. And then the revenue. Yeah. I think this is an interesting, like, it's such an interesting little logical contraption that I create for myself in these 4 slides. Basically what I say here in this, and I don't know if I would still want to do this, is, hey, there is a way that this market is fashioned. Games are bought and sold based on their adherence to player values in genres. That's the first thing I say. And the second thing I say is, and these are 4 of those values. Insignia tries to do 3 of them. Here it is, straddling this line between these 3 genres. And very successful games tend to succeed because they do one thing really well, but other games, like what I'm trying to do, straddle more than one. To me, I'm going to try to deconstruct this. Logically, I feel like this is okay. I think how accurate it is debatable. It's hard to validate this. This is kind of just my opinion. And in a pitch deck, I don't really think that it's appropriate to be trying to sell my opinion. I don't think that's a strong argument to make. Even if it's backed by a bunch of numbers, even if I did a bunch of research to get here, I just don't know if that's worth pushing that argument, especially to a publisher, because they have some of these numbers. So there is something valuable here. There's something kind of like, I feel like going down this path started from an insecurity that I had about people asking me, hey Adam, like, what makes your game special? What makes it unique? What's its unique selling point? And I'm not about that. I don't like that as a way of thinking about games. I don't think it's a good heuristic to evaluate or codify like good stuff. I don't think that's how consumers think. I don't think they think, I'm going to play a game. I'm going to find a game that's unique that does something I've never seen before. I think games need to have novelty, but I don't think that that's the core value proposition. I think the core value proposition is always about quality and, well, value, right? For time. And games that are about story, games that feel important because other people are playing them, that's really what it's about. It's about community and participating in gaming with, by consuming content that other people have validated is worth your time, and then enjoying that content and then sharing conversations about it. Like Game of Thrones, like a cultural phenomenon like that. It's successful not because it's different. It wasn't the first fantasy show. It wasn't the first drama. It wasn't the first HBO style. Like nothing about it's original, except for the fact that it's just really, really good and everyone was watching it. So I think part of why I created these 4 slides to begin with and did all that exercise, one was to familiarize myself with the industry, but also was that I was insecure that Insignia didn't have like a thing. I think it kind of does have a thing now, actually, and I think that the ensign system that I created, it's kind of like that's going to shut those people up, but also I think I'm comfortable now using that question as a little barometer to know who I'm talking to and whether I should pay attention to them. If a publisher comes up to me and says, "What's your game's hook? What's the USP?" That's kind of my time to say thank you very much and talk to you next time. I don't think that's like, because if you think that way, if you see like screenshots of my game or a trailer or something, and your next question is, yeah, but what makes it different? It's like, we don't have anything to talk about. Like, because the whole point is that it's doing a good job, not reinventing the wheel, That said, there is novelty, that is important, all that's true. It's just, do I have to dedicate 4 slides to convincing the person watching that unique selling points aren't the whole story? That doesn't feel like a valuable way to spend my time in a presentation. So instead, I think it's important for me to take the positive things about this, the things that I'm passionate about, and focus on why I want to communicate them. So is it important that I'm communicating that the game does these things? Yes, I am doing that up here, right? Those are the 3 things. So I probably don't need to re-explain that stuff. Is it important that I understand where Insignia sits in the market? Yeah, I do think so, actually. I think that it would be good to showcase 3 or 4 of these capsule arts that are close to what Insignia is. I think so. So that people watching can understand like what it is and what it isn't. Just at a glance. And I'm fine to do that.